I am Jake Roberts, an ordinary man living in a world full of extraordinary expectations. I have a stable job, a proud family, and a beautiful wife. I never imagined that everything could change in an instant, but as life often does, it threw me a curveball, and it did so without warning. It happened one evening, in the middle of a dinner at an upscale restaurant in San Francisco, after an important meeting. The air was filled with the soft hum of conversation, the clink of silverware against fine china. When my phone rang, it was Rachel, my wife. Her voice, though faintly calm, was tinged with an unfamiliar energy. "Jake, I don't know if you remember, but today is the day. I'm on a business trip in LA," she said. In the background, I could hear chatter and laughter, the noise of people socializing. It struck me that she wasn't alone in a quiet hotel room, but somewhere more vibrant, filled with life and voices. "Where are you?" I asked, a faint unease creeping into my words. "I'm at a party with some industry friends," she replied. Her tone rushed, distracted. A chill crawled up my spine. Something felt off. "We met a famous TV star," Rachel continued, her voice growing more awkward. "He came to our table and we talked for a while." The words that followed hit me like a freight train. "I can't believe it, but he wants me to use what we talked about." I froze, the world slowing down around me. "Hall pass." The words echoed in my mind like an alarm, like a warning that I'd failed to heed in the past. It was a topic we'd discussed long ago in a joking manner at a party with friends. It had been a fantasy, a whimsical idea. But now, hearing Rachel's voice on the other end of the line, I could sense something far more serious. "Rachel, are you kidding me?" I managed to say, the shock giving way to tension in my voice. "No, Jake, I'm not kidding," she responded, almost defensively. "He's really famous, and I think I'm going to do it." A wave of disbelief surged through me. This was real. She was telling me she wanted to go through with it. The very thing we'd once laughed about, that I had firmly told her I would never agree to, was now a tangible possibility. My mind raced. Why is she telling me this? Don't you get it? What the hell are you doing? I shouted, unable to contain the rising storm inside me. "You're not going to do this, are you?" There was silence on the other end. A long pause before she spoke again. "I just want you to understand, Jake. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I want to try it." The ground beneath me seemed to crumble. How could she say this? Was she truly willing to destroy everything we had built for a fleeting moment of excitement? My hands shook as I gripped the phone. "I don't want to hear anymore," I managed to say, my voice cold, as though each word was chipping away at the last shred of trust between us. "Rachel, you can't do this to me. You can't break everything we've worked for." I hung up, the weight of her words sinking deep into my chest, as a heavy sense of betrayal and confusion engulfed me. The rest of the night passed in a haze. I couldn't sleep, my mind swirling with thoughts I couldn't control. Each new message from Rachel felt like a dagger, piercing deeper into my heart. She had gone with him. There was nothing I could do to stop it now. The next morning, I woke up drained, physically and emotionally. I called Rachel, but she didn't pick up. My heart sank further with each unanswered ring. Disappointment was swelling inside me, but so was an urge to find the truth. I couldn't stay paralyzed by uncertainty. I needed to know what was really happening. I reached out to Jack, a close friend of mine who was also part of the business trip. Maybe he could shed some light on what was going on. When Jack answered, he sounded surprised. "Jake, why are you calling now? What's going on?" "Jack, I need your help," I replied urgently. "Rachel's not answering, and I can't take this anymore." "Do you know what Rachel's doing in LA?" There was a long pause on the other end. I could hear his sigh. "Jake, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but if you want the truth, I'll give it to you." The words hung in the air. "Rachel went with that guy, Chris Knight, the TV star she told you about." My world stopped. Chris Knight. The name felt like a punch to my gut. A star I knew only through the press. Now the very person my wife had chosen over everything we had. "Thanks, Jack," I said quietly, my voice barely above a whisper. I hung up the phone, my mind spinning with disbelief. I had to act now to face this head-on. I couldn't just sit back and let this unfold without knowing the truth. By evening, when Rachel returned home, I had a plan. The camera was set in the living room, ready for the confrontation I knew was inevitable. I steeled myself. I couldn't back down now. When the door creaked open and Rachel stepped inside with a bright smile, everything inside me hardened. But as soon as she saw me sitting there, waiting, her smile faltered. "Jake, what's wrong? What happened?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. I sat there, silent for a long moment, locking eyes with her. "Why did you do this, Rachel?" I asked, my voice cold and deliberate. Rachel hesitated, a nervous smile creeping onto her face. "I don't understand, my love. This is just an opportunity. A once-in-a-lifetime chance. I don't care about that reason anymore," I said, my voice sharper now. "You've betrayed me, Rachel, and I won't forget." The room grew thick with tension, and I could feel the distance between us grow with every word I spoke. Her eyes widened in confusion, as if she couldn't fathom the gravity of what had just happened. "You can't do this to me," I continued, my voice turning even colder, but the pain inside me was unmistakable. "You promised me we would never hurt each other like this. We built something. I built something and you destroyed it." Rachel stepped forward, her hand outstretched, but I recoiled, pulling away as though the touch might burn me. I was looking at a stranger, someone I didn't recognize anymore. "Jake, please," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You don't understand. I felt emotionally neglected. You haven't cared about me for years. Your work consumes you, and I feel like I'm no longer important to you." The words stung, cutting deeper than I could have imagined. I had been so caught up in my own ambitions, so blind to her needs, that I hadn't even realized how much she was suffering. For the first time, I saw the weight of my own actions. I stayed silent for a moment, trying to absorb what she had said. But still, no amount of explanation could justify her betrayal. "How many more words will you use to justify this?" I interrupted, my voice colder than ever. "You've hurt me, hurt this family. And you think I can forgive you? Do you really think this can be fixed?" Rachel's eyes filled with tears, and she faltered before me. "Jake, I love you. I don't want to lose you. Please, don't leave me." Her words hung in the air, but I couldn't hear them anymore. The love I had once felt for her felt distant, lost in the cold winds of betrayal. The walls between us were too high now, and I didn't know if I could ever bring myself to tear them down. I nearly shouted at her, my voice trembling with raw emotion. "Do you love me, Rachel? How can you sleep with another man, knowing what this family means, knowing what it means to me? How could you forget about our children, about everything we've built together?" My words came crashing down like a storm, shattering what remained of our relationship. There was no going back now. Whether we wanted it or not, everything had changed. The next day, I couldn't escape the images that haunted me. Rachel and Chris, the laughter, the thrill she must have felt in that moment. My mind felt like it was on fire, exhausted from replaying the same thoughts over and over. But I knew one thing for certain. I couldn't live in this deceit any longer. The truth had to come out, and I needed to take action. I reached out to Max, an old friend and a skilled lawyer who had guided me through some tough times. I needed help to navigate the storm ahead. When I walked into his office, he immediately saw something was off. "Jake, you don't look so good. What's going on?" I threw my phone on the table, a deep, cold weight settling in my chest. "I need your help. I need a divorce." Max paused, studying me carefully. "What happened?" I exhaled, feeling the depth of my pain. "I found out my wife betrayed me. She's with a TV star, Chris Knight." "I need proof," I said, my voice heavy with disappointment. "I want to do this right, but I can't just sit back anymore." Max's face softened, and he nodded, understanding. "I'll help you, Jake, but this won't be easy. Rachel's not going to give up without a fight." The next day, Max called with crucial news. He had found evidence that could help me in court. But even with proof in hand, I knew Rachel wouldn't go down without a fight. And when the day finally came to face her, The tension in the courtroom was suffocating. Rachel sat across from me, her lawyer by her side, both of them wearing smug expressions. "You don't have any solid evidence. This is just based on your emotions," Rachel's lawyer sneered. I didn't respond right away. My mind was flooded with the images of her betrayal, the phone call, the deceit, the lies. I had evidence, sure, but I couldn't let my emotions dictate how I handled it. I needed to stay calm, to stay strong. Then Max stood up. He pulled out the evidence. A video call where Rachel had openly discussed her relationship with Chris Knight. Her words unmistakable. The room went silent, and I could see the panic in Rachel's eyes. She stood up, her voice shaking as she protested. "This isn't possible. You can't do this." Max continued, presenting more evidence. Text messages, photos, even a signed photo from Chris to Rachel. Piece by piece, the truth came out, and it was undeniable. Rachel's gaze shifted from defiant to desperate, her earlier bravado crumbling. The trial ended, but the emotional toll it took on me was unbearable. It wasn't just about property or custody. It was about trust, love, and the slow destruction of everything I had believed in. When I returned home, it felt as if I had entered a different world. Rachel wasn't there. She had disappeared, leaving no note, no explanation. The house felt empty, cold. I had sent the kids to their grandparents to shield them from this turmoil, not wanting them to witness the collapse of their parents' marriage. They would have to face the truth soon enough, but I would protect them from this pain for as long as I could. Days passed without a word from Rachel. She didn't call, didn't text, and I didn't dare reach out to her. Yet, despite everything, her image haunted me. I loved her deeply, and I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. I couldn't comprehend how she could betray me like this. Then, one evening, the phone rang. It was Rachel's mother, her voice full of concern. "Jake, can you come to the house? Rachel needs to talk to you." A wave of unease washed over me. "Where is she?" I asked, the worry creeping into my voice. "She's at my house. She hasn't said much, but I think you should come. She wants to apologize." My heart tightened. Was Rachel truly remorseful? Or was this just another attempt to salvage some shred of her image? I didn't know, but I couldn't keep avoiding the truth. I had to face her again. When I arrived at her mother's house, my heart raced. There, sitting on the couch, was Rachel, her eyes swollen from crying. The weight of the room's silence was suffocating. She looked at me, her face stricken with guilt. "I don't know what to say, Jake," she whispered. "I know I was wrong. I can't forgive myself for what I've done." I looked at her, the pain rising within me. "Rachel, do you really think you can say anything that will make this better? You've destroyed everything. The family, my trust, everything we had." Rachel lowered her head, her tears falling silently. "You don't understand, Jake. I love you. I really do. But I was wrong. I was wrong to think I could live in a marriage where I felt so neglected." A deep sadness gripped me. I had been blind to her pain, too focused on work, too lost in my own ambitions. But even now, even after hearing her words, the betrayal lingered. "If you love me," I said, my voice steady but broken, "why didn't you tell me how you felt? Why didn't you come to me instead of seeking someone else to fill that void?" Rachel wiped her tears, trying to summon strength. "I know, Jake. I know I can't justify my actions, but when Chris came along, I felt seen. I felt loved again." Her words hit me like a cold slap. Between the pain of betrayal and the confusion of her admission, I didn't know what to feel. "You say you love me, but your actions don't show it." I stood up, trying to hold onto my composure. "I can't live in a relationship where trust is broken beyond repair. You've hurt me, Rachel. You've hurt our family. I'll do anything, Jake. Anything to fix this. I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose this family," she pleaded. "But you've already lost it, Rachel," I said, my voice cold. "You destroyed it yourself." I turned and walked out of the room, leaving her sitting there, broken and defeated. When I got home, everything felt like a strange, distant echo. The silence in the house was unbearable. No more late-night talks. No more shared laughter. No more love. All that remained was the wreckage of what had once been. In the days that followed, I couldn't ignore the truth. This marriage was over. No amount of words, no gestures of apology, could undo the damage she had done. A few days later, I met with a lawyer to start the divorce process. I didn't want to drag it out any longer. I needed to move on. The paperwork was signed, and just like that, everything had ended. Rachel called me, but I didn't answer. There was nothing left to say. As I sat in the lawyer's office, the reality of what had just happened hit me. I could feel the weight of it all, the loss, the betrayal, the emptiness. The people around me would never fully understand, and I wasn't sure I could explain it even if I tried. Divorce isn't just the end of a relationship. It's the loss of a part of yourself. But as I walked out of the lawyer's office, I realized something. For the first time in a long while, I felt free.